Months after the discovery of the remains of the 8 miners at Lindo Creek, a cell phone belonging to one of the slain miners had been in use. The Commission of Inquiry probing the death of the miners heard this from Attorney-at-Law Nigel Hughes, who had been retained to represent the families of the miners killed.
And what had happened is during the month of August 2008, we received information that the cell phone of Dax Arokium was being used. This is long after he had died. Was actually being used, and we actually managed through our own resources to get a printout of all the calls that had been made from his cell phone. We believe that cell phone was being actively utilized again as a result of our investigation somewhere in the region of Lindo.
Hughes presented to the Commission a printout of all the calls that had been made from the cell phone of Dax Arokium. Hughes testified that one call was made in August 18 at around 14:04 hours, and calls from the dead miner's cell phone continued up to August 25, 2008. Hughes then wrote to the then Commissioner Henry Green with the hope that this new information would have been a breakthrough to solve the massacre, but Green denied having information about Dax Arokium's phone number.
We wrote to the Commissioner of Police saying, look, this is his number. We had provided this, our client had provided this to you before, and these are a list of the calls that were made from that number. I think we managed to solicit that information for a period somewhere, maybe July, August of 2008. I can recognize that list and the letter that I sent. And the Commissioner wrote back denying that they were aware of his phone number and that the phone number had never been provided. And we responded to him saying, we're very sorry, that's not correct. Mr. Arokium specifically provided that information to the police officers when the Prime Minister, the Minister of Home Affairs, and other senior police officers visited his home. So we responded to the Commissioner indicating that his claim that he had not received the number could not be correct because that was provided since when those persons had visited the home of Mr. Arokium.
Hughes said that he personally tried both the listed and blocked numbers and got responses on 2 occasions, but the individuals who answered were obviously using coded language.
We tried both listed and blocked numbers. When we called, there were 2 occasions that there was a response, and when it became evident, I actually made those calls, when it became evident that whatever code should be given, they expected something, they asked a question and I couldn't respond or didn't provide the appropriate response, it would be terminated.
The Commission listened to another startling piece of information from Hughes, a statement that he had taken from Yonette Torres, the mother of slain miner Nigel Torres. In her statement, Mrs. Torres, who is from Kokwani, said that the Joint Services rank had told her that the Joint Services had been to Lindo Creek and destroyed everything after she had not heard from her then 17-year-old son.
On Father's Day, the Joint Forces came down the river, i.e. the Black Clothes, and I went and I spoke to one of them. I told him I have a son in the back dam, and he said with his face very suspicious that there was no one in the back dam. He then told me that they had, quote, boomed, B-O-O-M-E-D, boomed the back dam, i.e. they destroyed everything in the back dam. The next day, my sister called and I asked when last I had seen my son. I told her I didn't know and I was beginning to worry. She then told me that I should ask around because she had heard that the Joint Services had shot some boys down in the back dam. Later one evening, I can't remember the exact day or date, I received news from my sister Patsy, one of the Adventist sisters of my church, that my son was indeed dead. She said she had spoken to Mr. Rookies, who went into the back dam and saw nothing but bones. I don't feel that it was Feynman's gang that actually did this act, because Feynman is said to have cooked, eaten, then tied up and burnt the entire place, and there was no smoke that was seen by the helicopter that was constantly flying above.
Mrs. Torres said on June 5 she saw Dax Arokium going into the back dam and sent a message to her son to be careful since a heavy police presence in the area had been observed. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.